All right, so Georgia has now had two scrimmages in fall practice. Fall practice is definitely more than halfway over now, as we are less than 2 weeks away from Georgia playing football, from college football happening. I mean, week zero is coming up right around the corner. I don't know exactly how many days away that is, but we're within a week of week zero. College football's here. Look, Georgia, they're dealing with some injuries, right? They've dealt with some serious injuries over all these off seasons. I don't think there's anything major. They've got some players that are recovering from some major injuries, but Georgia's got some nicks here and there. So if these guys aren't ready to go week one, what does that mean, right? We don't know the timetable. Kirby Smart essentially said that a lot of these guys are day to day. I think that some of these players may be coming back for week one, but all of the injuries Georgia's dealing with right now, none of them seem to be super significant. None of them seem to be anything that would keep a player out more than a couple games. It doesn't seem that way. If that changes, we'll give you those updates. But guys like Kendall Milton, guys like Kamari Lassiter, guys like Smile Mondon, Brance Robinson, some key players still a little bit banged up. So what does that mean for Georgia as far as their depth, as far as what's behind them, and what are they practicing right now? We're going to talk about all that. Ryan Curley from Dog Post talking about Georgia's injuries, just a little bit of an injury update here. And we'll talk about, I'm going to let this kind of be in coalition with what I've seen at practice and what I've seen with the depth chart right now. But this is what Kirby was talking about on, hey, real quick, sign up for the newsletter down below before I get into what Kirby said. It is free. Take advantage of it. Signing up for a newsletter, here's what you get every single day in your inbox. All the stories that we're pushing out get sent to you. We're always doing it in the early afternoon, usually is when that newsletter comes out. So make sure you are signing up because it's free, and then you will not miss out on any Georgia football news. I can't sit here and spew out every single word. There's lots more on the site, so make sure you're checking that out. Here, look, because there's a lot of people that are dealing with super minor things. Jonel Arguero, the freshman from the five-star freshman safety, right? He's dealing with some injuries. Another freshman, Lawson Lucky, dealing with lower body injuries. It looks like most of these are lower body injuries, hamstring stuff. I believe Kamari Lassiter's is kind of a foot ankle, is what Kirby Smart said. You don't hear exactly what some of these injuries are, but this is what Kirby Smart said. All of those guys, they're all day-to-day. He's talking about pretty much just everyone who got injured during fall camp. They're all day-to-day. I don't know what to tell you. Smile Mondon is running really fast. He's exercising, but he's not practicing. He'll be able to come do some drill work on Monday. That would have been yesterday. It's coming along really well. He's very passionate about getting back, and he's not sore. He's running, and the first test of that foot is how much soreness comes when he runs, and he's been great. So Smile Mondon's foot injury. What does that mean for Georgia? Well, he's not practicing in full yet, it seems like. Is he going to be ready for week one? I can't answer that. If he's not ready for week one, what's going to happen is probably Xavier Sori, number 18 linebacker. I believe this would be his third or fourth year in the program. He will be the one that enters and plays for him next to Jamon Dumas-Johnson. Xavier Sori has been playing at that spot this offseason while Smile Mondon's been banged up, and Kirby Smart said he has made huge strides, that this has been a big offseason for Xavier Sori. So that's the deal if Smile Mondon's out. They've got the next man up in that situation. Now, it doesn't sound like Smile Mondon will be out for long if he misses any games at all. And I think that's going to be the case for all of the guys on this list. They won't be out for long if they miss any games at all. It's probably the way we should be working with most of these guys. There's yet to be any inclination that any of these guys are dealing with anything super serious, right? So let's move on. Jonel Arguero has a hamstring, grade 1. I don't know when he'll be back. That's what Kirby Smart said. Branson Robinson has been doing more each day in practice. He basically scrimmaged today, that being Saturday, without carrying the ball. He was in on plays, did pass protection, ran routes, caught balls. He looks pretty good out there, but we have not tackled him live. And so the thing about the running back room is Kendall Milton also dealing with an injury, right? And so the last couple of weeks they've been working without having two of your scholarship running backs, being a full go. A week or so ago when I was at practice, we saw Let me just pull this up real quick. But we saw Dejan Edwards, Roderick Robinson, and Andrew Paul were getting the work because of Branson Robinson and Kendall Milton not being full goes. So if neither of them are good to go week one, if it comes to that where Branson Robinson and Kendall Milton are not ready to go week one, which I don't think that'll be the case, or at least not both of them, right? If that's the case. It doesn't sound like it. I'm no doctor, but you're dealing with Dejan Edwards, Roger Robinson, and Andrew Paul. Now, Andrew Paul obviously is another guy who's coming off an injury, coming off knee surgery, right? From knee injury he suffered almost exactly a year ago at this point. We're going back to last fall camp when Dejan Edwards suffered that knee injury. So let's see or when Andrew Paul suffered that knee injury. I'm trying to see if he said anything. I don't think he said anything about Andrew Paul on Saturday. I'm just trying to double check that. Here's what he said about Kamari Lassiter. Well, he didn't say anything about Andrew Paul. But what I saw from Andrew Paul, and look, we distributed this on dogpost.com as well. The highlights, if you can't find them on Twitter, we've got them on dogpost.com. But some scrimmage highlights that Georgia released. Andrew Paul makes a couple nice plays in those highlights. And in the practice that I got to saw from a week or so ago was Georgia doing some hurry-up offense. Andrew Paul was involved in that, and he did well. I think he can get to the edge pretty quickly. He was taking contact. So Andrew Paul's practicing, and he's in that scrimmage. Is he 100%? Kirby Smart would argue. I know that Kirby Smart said that he doesn't think he's 100% quite yet. I just can't find this quote. There we go on Andrew Paul. Andrew Paul has been good. I wouldn't say he's 100%. He's post-ACL surgery. I guess he's at a year. I don't know if it was a year today or last scrimmage that happened, but he looks better and better. He's more and more confident in the system. So that's good that he is coming back as some other guys are banged up. But another important one, and we'll wrap this up, is what did he say about Kamari Lassiter? This is what he said. Kamari wore a black shirt today, which keeps him from getting quite as much of what we call a load. When you're playing corner and you've got a foot or ankle injury, it's hard. When you try to make a play, you can't. He took the volume of reps and covered the play, but if he had anywhere to make a tackle, he'd tag off. He felt very good. He's been tender and sore after he practices, so he's been kind of a day on, day off, day on, day off. We're doing what the doctors say, bringing him back slowly and listening to his body. So if Kamari Lassiter is not able to go week one, what would happen is a good question. Because we're not even sure who the other starter is opposite of Kamari Lassiter at this point. Kirby Smart essentially said it was between four guys the other day that are getting first-team reps. Nyland Green, Dalen Everett. I believe the other two would be Ja'Cory Thomas and A.J. Harris. Julian Humphrey and A.J. Harris. My apologies. Ja'Cory Thomas is the one that transferred. I mixed those two guys up a little bit. But all of those guys have gotten first-team reps. And some of that is because Kamari Lassiter hasn't been playing and practicing the last couple of weeks. But if he's gone, they've got four guys that they're choosing between for that spot. But that's a spot that they are still working on figuring out. But if Kamari Lassiter were to miss any time, those four guys, we're talking a freshman possibly getting time, two second-year players and a third-year player, who are already competing for time, and now there possibly could be more time on the table if Kamari Lassiter weren't able to go. But none of these injuries sound to be super serious. None of them sound to be super long-term. Feet, ankle, hamstrings, things like that. Now, they're injuries, but Georgia's missing some guys who will be ready week one. We're going to find that out as this thing goes on. Thanks for watching.